first, I'd like to say a few things about myself so that you get to know me a little bit better. I started as a freelancer 27 years ago. Um, my field was in communication and marketing. I was providing training courses in communication and helping companies with their marketing projects. I must have been okay with the work that I was doing for the clients, but I sucked at my own marketing. That was a disgrace. That was just so embarrassing. I wasn't able to secure a healthy pipeline. I had clients from time to time, but when I had them, they were probably not the best clients, at least difficult to work with and difficult to get money from. Sometimes I had a good client, but I couldn't have another piece of work for the same client after that. That was awful. That was so bad. We sometimes we were for months without work. And at some point, it was so bad, I had to make a decision. I need to go back to have a job and have an employee contract. I needed to put food on the table. And I said, okay, that's really bad. I need an employee contract. But at the back of my hand, back of my head, I knew, at least I had the feeling that I had that in me, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have a company. So I started to try to understand what was wrong, what was the problem. And I came to the conclusion, in hindsight, I think it was the right conclusion, that the main problem that I had was that I had no clue who were my clients. In fact, understandably, because I went straight from being a teacher, an academic, to being an independent contractor. I had actually never worked in a company. I mean, I had never seen how these companies were working. There was no way I would understand how to please my clients. I didn't know them at all. So I decided that, yeah, obviously I needed to have money. That was the main purpose. But I said, okay, I will go to an employee contract, but I will try to do that as a homework so that as soon as I know enough, I'll go back to being a business owner. I will have my own company. So that's what I did. I did my homework for 15 years. So that's a long homework. Yeah, it so happened that I fell in a great industry. That's digital transformation. That was innovative. At that time, that was really new. Nobody knew about the impact that the internet would have on every pieces of the business. I was in consulting in digital transformation. That means that I had to understand not only one company, not only one department, but all the impact on all the departments, on dozens of companies, in Europe, in different countries, in different industries. I actually was able to interact with a number of people, well, managers, directors, executives, C-levels on board members. I actually became one of them. I was able to be an executive in companies with thousands of employees. I actually became a general manager myself. So at some point, I guess the homework was enough. And 9 years ago, I decided, okay, now I know enough. I can come back and start my own company, which is what I did. And for the last 9 years, I've pretty much been sharing the result of my homework with business owners. And for the last 2 years, I've narrowed down my focus on specifically freelancers. As Elena has said, we've created B2B, B2.be, which is an environment where freelancers help each other, support each other, learn from each other, and do business together. And what I do every day within B2B is pretty much what I'll be doing for the next minutes here, sharing what I can from my experience with freelancers in order for them to avoid having to spend 15 years doing their homework. So what was the first lesson with regards to marketing? Because we're talking about marketing today. What's the first lesson? I already told you. Nothing can be done if you don't understand your market and your clients. It starts there. It doesn't matter if it's about a strategy or a plan or an activity or an action. If you don't know your clients, you cannot do anything. But you knew that already. You probably didn't need me to tell you that. The question today is, what's the difference between a plan, a marketing plan, and a marketing strategy? And do we need a strategy? What can it bring to us? Well, the first thing we need to know about a strategy is that a strategy will always pursue a business outcome. And there is only one business outcome that counts. It's money. So if you have something that you call a marketing plan or you call a marketing strategy, and it is not attached to an objective in euros, I can tell you don't have a strategy, because you should have this euro attached. I can give you a few examples. A freelancer that says, I am earning money, but I never know how much I'm earning from one month to the next. Thanks to my marketing strategy, I will earn at least 5,000 euros per month. That is a valid objective for a marketing strategy. Now you are earning 5,000 euros per month. Well, a valid objective would be, now thanks to my marketing strategy, I will consistently earn more than 10,000 euros per month. Again, a valid objective for a marketing strategy. Or you are earning 10,000 euros, but you do that on the basis of a 600 euros per day rate. And you say, on the basis of my marketing strategy, I will now earn the same 10,000 euros, but thanks to a day rate of 800 euros. Again, a valid outcome, business outcome for a strategy. Anything else is a sign of a plan, is a sign of an action, but not a sign of a strategy. An outcome in number of clients, in number of views, in engagement, in whatever you can call that. That is the outcome of a plan, but not the outcome of a strategy. If you talk to any business owner and you're trying to sell them something, as you've probably done several times, there's something that comes always in the discussion is, how much more will I earn thanks to your service? How much more will I earn thanks to your product? And this is exactly the same way we as independent professionals should react. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that everything is about money and that money is the utmost objective of anything we do. No, and probably some of you are already thinking that, no, I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for value for my client. I'm trying to think in terms of value. And you are absolutely right. The material that we are dealing with as a business is value. That's what we are producing. And the material that a marketing strategy is dealing with is value indeed. But unfortunately, we haven't found any indicator so far in human history better than money to indicate how much value you're providing. If you're telling me, for example, I'm providing more value than my competitor to my clients, I will ask you, do you get more money than your competitor from your clients? If the answer is no, I'm sorry to tell you, you're fooling yourself. You're not providing more value to your client. Maybe you're providing more quality, and that's not the same, because it means that the additional quality has no value to your client. And what is important is the value to your client. And what is the best indicator for that? Money. So these are the characteristics of a strategy. So to answer the question, do I have a strategy or do I have a plan? It's easy. In order to have a strategy, you need to have a knowledge of your clients as a basis. You need to have money as the indicator of your success. And you need to play with value. That is the raw material you have to play with in order to succeed in your growth. Because obviously, if you're dealing with money or value, what you want to achieve is more of that, more value, more money, not less, I suppose. So let's go a little bit deeper indeed in what a strategy could look like. Because if we're dealing with value, that's an abstract term. But there are only three things, very practical, that you can do with value as a business. And this means that's only these three things you can use in order to have a marketing strategy that is efficient. You do three things. You create value. That's one thing. You deliver value. That's the second thing. And you communicate value. That's the third thing. And a marketing strategy addresses all three. Most companies, and probably most independent professionals as well, concentrate their attention on the third only. That's what we call, well, communicating value. That's the communication strategy or the communication plan. When people say, oh, I have a marketing strategy or I have a marketing plan, actually, most of the time it's not true. What they have is a communication plan. a marketing communication plan. It's one of the three. It's important, but it's not all, especially if we only do that and we don't work with the other two. And that would be a pity. I don't have to go into much detail on how you could improve your communication. That's what everybody's talking about. How you can improve your social marketing, how you can improve your branding. I mean, everybody's talking about it. I mean, it probably is no surprise to you that on social networks, you have a lot of advice on how to use social networks to improve your marketing. It doesn't come as a surprise, I suppose. But although I will not want to focus too much on that, I still want to tell you something about this. The strategy you're using in your communication is there mainly to enhance what you're doing in the other two parts of the strategy. Communicating on your value is a lot more efficient if you're communicating on a higher value that you're creating and a higher value that you are delivering to your client. And that will be more efficient. One of the issues that we have with the communication only strategy is that it looks a little bit more like spin. I mean, I'm not changing the quality that I'm delivering. I'm not changing the value that my clients receive, but I will communicate better. That is unfortunately what happens if we only concentrate on the communication aspect. I'm not changing the way I am delivering my value to my clients. I'm not changing the way I'm interacting with my clients when I have them, but I'm changing the communication about the way I am interacting with my clients. Again, it would be more efficient if we actually improve and we create more value through creation and the delivery. So let's focus on these two. And I'd like to give you a few examples on how practical a strategic approach can actually be in increasing the value that you're producing and indeed the money result that you get. How does it mean to create value? For most people, it starts with the product or the service that you're delivering. I'm a designer. I produce design, and that's what my client gets. I am a translator, and the translation is what my client gets as a result. But that is not the value. The value can be a lot more than that. And I give you some really practical examples. I was on the receiving end several times of translations from different people in different languages. And I remember very well that sometimes I was receiving 2 pieces of translations in 2 different languages. The quality was exactly the same. The way it was delivered on time and on budget, that was absolutely the same. But I knew I preferred to work with one of these 2 translators. Why? Because there was something in the way it was presented, the way it was prepared, the way it was delivered that fit better in my workflow. It was a lot easier to use that translation into the website I was using. Whereas the other ones, I needed a few manipulations. I needed to change a few things. What happened is that the translator had thought about my workflow as a client. He had thought about the functional value of what he was delivering. And that means I preferred working with that translator rather than the other one. That means he had more work from me. And that is the first way you can improve the value of what you're delivering. Think about how it is used by your client, how it can better integrate in their workflow. That is what we call functional value of what you're delivering, because it fits better in the functional activities of your client. But let's not stop there. What about social value of what you're delivering? A lot of what I'm doing, and maybe some of you is the same, ends up being translated into a presentation. At some point, I will need to deliver a presentation to my clients. What I usually do is when I prepare presentations, I do not prepare them with me or him in mind. I prepare them with his boss in mind. I prepare the presentation with enough stuff in there that he can use, copy and paste in his own presentations, sometimes things that I don't really need to present, but he will need to present them to his boss. And I want him to look good. So that means I am adding this value, which is social value, to what I'm delivering, which is the product of my activity. But I do it in such a way that it adds social value to what he's doing. And then there is emotional value, how you create emotion in a product if you are in a business to business environment. I will share a story with you to tell you how far we can go and how infinite the possibilities are to add value to the work that you do that is simple work. When I was an employee at the, well, for many companies, you receive a company car. And after a few years, if you are a good employee, you get a nice company car. But when you go and you get your company car, in the trunk these days, there are two things. There's a bouquet of flower and a bottle of champagne. And that's what I found in the trunk of my car the last two times I had a company car. Who was it for? That was not for me. That was for my wife. And that's exactly what it says. It's for your wife. Why? Because they wanted to create an emotion in the spouse of the client of their clients. Because their clients was my company, was not me. I was the client of their client. And my spouse had a nice emotion when I came back with the bouquet of flower and especially with a bottle of champagne. She was very happy. Since she was happy, I was happy. I said to my boss that she was happy and he was good with that. And he said definitely is another approach to get more business from them. So functional value, social value, emotional value, just think about it and create a few plans to achieve that in your clients, in the clients of your clients, and maybe in the spouses of your clients of your clients. So infinite possibilities to increase the value without even talking about communication around it. And that's part of your daily business. That is the first part, how you create value for your clients. The second part is how you deliver value. And let's focus more on another way we call that part of a marketing strategy. This is called customer management. So customer management is something that we often confuse with sales, because we think that we only deal with customer when we have an opportunity. Actually, a lot of marketing companies are saying that you first create a few leads, and then the leads become a customer, and then the customers, you have to deal with them in a sales flow and you finish the flow. The customer management part of a marketing strategy changes that completely. It starts by creating your ideal list of customers. Who would you like to work with? Actually, for some of you, it might not be that difficult. I was talking a few weeks ago with someone who's working exclusively for airline companies. You know how many airline companies there are in Europe? 100. That's it. And his work was operational excellence. So all he needed to do was not create content management or do work on LinkedIn or post on Facebook. He just needed to have the name, the address, the phone number of the 100 COOs of these airlines, and then call them. That is customer management, is learning to know your market specifically and the part of your sweet spot market that you want to have. Sometimes when you have a market where you think you have too many potential clients and it looks like a business to consumer activity where you have so many clients, you need to have all these activities that will go broad. Well, you should probably try to make the exercise. Isn't there really a way to create a list of your favorite potential customers? Because you look what will happen when you do that and you create a list of 50, 100 top customers that you would like to work with. You can actually know them intimately. And I'm not talking about personas. I'm not talking about statistics. I'm not talking about, you know, Johnny, who is the CFO of that company. And you know what he has written in the last annual report, and you know what his strategy is. You know Mary, who's the HR head of that company, and you know that she loves golf, and you know that she wants the company to be a lot more open to various types of diversity in the company. You would know that. That means that you can actually try to meet these persons and engage with them. And what will happen is that you will be able to co-create value with them. There was one saying when I was heading sales teams in various companies that when you receive a request from a client, it's too late already. You should have been there with the client, creating the request that you can answer to. That is customer management. You imagine the client you want to have, you go, you meet them, you engage with them, you create the environment where together you will create the value that you will produce with them. And that's really up the value chain. And that's where we want to be. And that is customer management. That's how you can actually achieve a higher value. I mean, the first part I talked about, communication, the strategy, all that will enhance all this. But if you have a detailed understanding on how you can enhance the value that you produce with your client, how you can enhance the value of what you deliver to your clients, you will be able to have a lot more results, whether it is in repeat customers, in higher rates, in more volume in your activities. So as a summary, what I could say is that the three elements are there. It's knowing your clients, it's dealing with value, and understand how you can enhance that value in different ways with your clients. So that is what the strategy is about. And then when you have that strategy, you can monitor if your results are there with the way you are impacting your top line or your bottom line with the euro results, and you can continue and repeat as many times as you'd like. One last thing before I conclude. We know that we are, for some of us, in difficult circumstances because the crisis has affected a lot of us. A lot of companies have been through different crises over time. And I've learned that there are times when they need to really have a hard look at what they are focusing on. They are cutting budgets sometimes, they need to reduce their effort on some aspects, and they need to work on various things in order to cut the costs and focus on what's most important. I can tell you that I've never seen a company cutting the costs on customer management and on product management. I've seen many of them cutting the cost on communication management. But customer is top priority when we are in a crisis. So if I had to do something today, is have a hard look in what would be the ideal clients we can work for today, and how can I approach them, and how can I start having a conversation with them in order to co-create value for the future.